Was that why a lot of people complained when we got that list out of composition? People actually wanted to see fresh minds, new people representing these zones to really come talk about it. Are we saying that all of this time spent at the conference hasn't actually done what we wanted as a people?
Well, to be honest with you, and thanks to the effort of the number of people who are delegates at the conference, they have brought certain issues to the limelight. People are reading about them, people are talking about them. But have they gotten to where we want them to get to? No. They need to get to the point where they're talking about who are we? What do we want for ourselves as a nation? How do we want to exist?
So if that hasn't happened, does that mean that this conference will not address anything whatsoever?
No. I just said to you they have brought up some issues that we're all talking about now. They have achieved that. But the ultimate goal of setting up a conference is to be able to address that keen issue.
They're going to close on Thursday, but from what we gather, do you think that they will be able to answer those questions before Thursday?
I don't think it's likely for them to be able to do that. I don't even think that they'll be able to have an agreement based on the presentation that we're seeing here and there. The issue of revenue that goes to those oil-producing states, they are saying they should raise the percentage from 18% to from 13% to 18%. Some are suggesting 25. Some are saying 30. Some are even saying go back to what used to exist in the past, 50%. Now, the reality is there is a reason why people have gotten to that point to agitate. There has been unfairness, there has been injustice, there has been one-sidedness in the way we have used the revenue for development in the country. And people need to address that. And the only way we can address that is to sit down and ask ourselves, how do we want to exist? How do we want to continue to coexist in this nation? Do we want to live in a federal state where each state is a federated state? Or do we want to live in a confederal state? And all these options are open. They are open for discussion, but unfortunately, it's still a no-go area.
Would you be surprised, and how so, if at the end of the day, they decide that our recommendations should be accepted, or Nigerians, not National Assembly, should decide what becomes of our recommendation?
I think that discussion had been put forward even before the conference started. What happens to the final thing, that the final document that the conference produced? And I think the consensus is that it should be open to public discourse, not the House of Assembly.
You're talking about the implementation of what the outcome we get?
Yes, the outcome.
Public discourse, that's another conference.
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. It's not going to be that you put people together. You let people know.
Plebiscite or referendum? Or
maybe, I don't want to call it a referendum. I think it's an issue that this is the conference agenda. Please, the public, this is the opinion that they have come up with. What's your take on it?
Not National Assembly.
Not National Assembly.
But you remember, some people have said their recommendations should go to the National Assembly
because they're following a program. They're following a program.
What program might that be?
Okay. Now, National Assembly is collection of who are the people there?
Our representatives. Elected representatives.
Thank you. Elected political representatives. So they are on certain political platforms.
Legitimate ones at that.
Correctly. They are on certain political platforms. And in politics, it's a game of numbers. So if there is an issue that favors a particular political party that has the number of votes, the issue goes in that direction.
Is this a party matter now?
That's the way decisions are taken at that level.
I mean, how will recommendations from National Conference become political matter?
Because decisions are going to be taken in that political platform.
But it's already politics, because whether or not you like it, a referendum is still a game of numbers.
Yeah, all the people who are the delegates conference, they're not politicians. Some of them are, but not all of them.
They don't have to be to discuss politics.
I understand that. I'm saying when these matters for implementation now need to go to National Assembly for ratification, so to speak, then the political undertone will begin to show.
But the political undertones have been showing all along. Don't forget that we have many seasoned politicians as delegates as well.
That's correct. But it is sometimes interjected by the experience and the knowledge of people in the academia, people who are activists. So it waters their own political trend down. But by the time that document now goes back to the House of Rep or to the Senate, it is in a political realm. And at that point, politics of interest, politics of money, politics of tribe all come into play. And that's why people prefer for a general public discussion on. Remember when IBB was the president and the issue of whether you want to take a loan, the SAP, tighten your belt, he threw it to public discourse. It was the opinion of the general public that counted. He didn't say the Executive Council would take a decision on it.
So what do we make of this sharp north-south divide that we're seeing currently at the conference?
It's the pulse of the people.
Not politics.
No, it's the pulse of the people. It's a public exclamation of injustice that we have borne over the years. Public exclamation of, we cannot continue to be ruled under the yoke of suzerainty of the North. We need for us to be able to determine our future. The rulership of the North, in their opinion, has held back the development of the rest of the country. That's what they're talking about. That's what they're saying. And they're not saying it too loud. They're using issues to be able to point such things out. And we need to listen to ourselves. There are certain things that have happened in this country in the past that tell you that these things they're saying now is very true. They held back our education in the South using different tactics in the past. So at least they slowed us down so that we wouldn't be moving at the rate we were moving. Unfortunately, because people from the Southwest know the value of education, our children were taken out of the country. East Africa, Ghana, US, Europe, so that the policy of federal government will not hold us back. When that failed, they went into institutions, destroyed the basis of the quality of education that we got at that time, watered down the standard of organizations like ICANN by allowing for creation of ANAN, watered down things like the standard of medical practice by allowing for aberrations to occur. And what have we got? The result is what we're getting now.
But even if we were to discuss staying together, how do you think we can manage that with all this rancor, acrimony that plays itself out at this conference when they're discussing matters of devolution of power and derivation principle?
For us to decide to stay together, we must have guiding principles. First, to recognize that we are equal. Second of all, to be able to say that we relate to each other with a level of sincerity of purpose, that we are together to develop. Let me give you a very good example. If the private sector in this country decides to take development on their own, the only limiting factor they will have will be funds. But they have all the wherewithal to be able to do it. The funds is very critical. It's in the hand of the government. Unfortunately, the people who run government in this country are not thinking about development. Unfortunately, they talk it, they say it, they even write papers on it, they're not acting it.
All right, Dr. Tokunbo Adedeji is of the Professionals for Change. We've been discussing matters of, as raised by the National Conference, but he thinks, look, we shouldn't run away from what's obvious. Should we stay together? And he thinks that should be discussed. Thank you for coming on this morning, Dr. Adedeji. We'll be back in just a moment. Join us again.